Our first reader is a writer and occasional feminist who divides her time between two careers, a family and brunch. She commits acts of fiction largely focusing on black people in every situation under the sun and a few under other undefined celestial bodies. Please give a warm welcome to Mikki Kendall. Let's move this down just a little.
I'm not that short.
No, but the mic has a tendency to fall.
Oh, well, all right. I want the mic to fall.
No.
Hi. Oh God, Veronica. Hi, I'm Mikki Kendall. I write nonfiction to Veronica's Crossing My Streams. I'm just gonna, oh my God. It's like Ghostbusters. I wish I could tell you this has a title. It refuses to give me a title because, I don't know, it's an asshole. I have a thing with urban fantasy and how often urban fantasy, A, isn't urban, and B, is from the perspective of the outsider. And so this is sort of what urban fantasy would look like in Chicago, where the machine rules. Is turned out to be inadvertently creepy. I would tell you that I'm sorry, but I'm probably not really sorry. If you have suggestions for a title at the end, please share them because it needs a title. It's turning into a book. It refuses to have a title. That'd be great if it could get a title. You might be noticing a hint here about titles. Titles. Okay, great. There are plenty of old stories about the sacrifices made for a good harvest. A fat calf, a virgin or two, maybe a king if a country is really unlucky. But cities, no one talks about what it costs to make them or keep them. Those compacts are uglier, darker. It's not just blood and bone, though it takes plenty of that too. Cities have their own spirits and they tend to be hungry. Rapacious ones like New York, they sometimes eat themselves when they run out of ways to feed. Others grow slowly, steadily, biding their time because the farms around them are governed in ways they can't yet challenge. Some get their hooks into you, deep in, where you can move away for a while, but you can never, ever leave. Chicago is a young, raw city, a wound that hasn't quite settled in and scarred over, but it's well on its way, and it has plenty to consume. This isn't a lesson in the high cost of cities. That would only scare you. And besides, it's already too late. The city founders make the deal and everyone else honors it. If you forget, this city burned down once. You won't forget again. Can't, even if you wanted to. It's been bred into you. And if it hasn't, you're outnumbered. You're always outnumbered. That's the upside to cities, though. They can mount an army if the wrong people come knocking. And here, they come knocking a lot. You might not have noticed. Most people don't. And the mayor, oh, not the flimsy ones you see. The real mayor does like to hide weapons in plain sight. We all pretend it's public art and never talk about the iron statues that look different from the last time we saw them. Or what's in that thing we call a beam. Or about why we needed that eye hanging over the city for so long. There are people who know what to do when something goes wrong. Fixers who do the real work, however ugly it might be, no matter what it costs. They protect the city from above and below if it comes to that, but it rarely does. No one wants to unleash what's under us. And what governs our air, never mind. Just worry about the sides. Everything else is above your pay grade. North side, south side, west side. We have no east side. We will never have an east side. The lake is very clear about that label. You can refer to it as the east side, but nothing else. There's a neighborhood that doesn't always exist. It calls itself the east side. It got a special dispensation, but sometimes the lake forgets and tries to take it back. Outside the city, there is no east side. Remember that, it's important. There is only the Sears Tower. No matter who owns it, it is always the Sears Tower. Names mean a lot here, more than in most cities. We hold tight to names, hold tighter to people when the winter comes. Times get hard and we're a city that likes to eat. Beef, pizza, hot dogs that taste like nothing you can find anywhere else. You name it and we make it. Sure, crime happens here. Violence that media reports would have you believe couldn't happen anywhere else. It happens there too. It's just not happening in the same ways. Chicago bleeds every day, a never-ending cycle that looks awful in each decade, unless you remember that the St. Valentine's Day Massacre was just a fancier name for what's always happened here. Our sacrifices are bloody in public. That doesn't make them right or easy to witness. But every machine needs fuel, and this one runs best on blood. Better that sacrifice than what lives outside the city. What can ride in those storms some think are simply tornadoes? We test the sirens every month. Let them scream on schedule so that they don't wail away our sanity some fine Tuesday morning. Sonic scarecrows, they can protect us or destroy us. They take a tiny piece of our souls as payment. Not much, not enough to ever notice. We don't know what they do with them. We don't want to know. We teach the children to cover their ears if the noise bothers them. And one day they don't even need to do that anymore. They just stop hearing the sounds underneath the sirens. Most of them do it anyway. The ones that don't, the city takes them first. We don't speak of what the city takes often, speak even less of what it gives us, of how strong we are compared to people from other cities. We're a robust people, broad-shouldered, long-limbed, and our teeth are so sharp. We like our neighborhoods, almost like having a home base, a place that you understand and that understands you, is more important than anything else. We just accept that these rich green places that call to us, that keep us anchored in Hyde Park, Oak Park, Albany Park, Beverly, or elsewhere, their power is normal. It must be normal because it's all we know, and we feel so hollow when we move away from it. We never manage to stay gone, but that's probably for the best. Maybe we should no, this isn't the time for that either. You're new here, let's talk about you. Not everyone gets this far, gets to know these things about what really built the subways, or why we call winter winds the hawk. Who are you? Why are you here? What deal did you make? Oh, I see. It's in what's left of your eyes. Poor foolish child, you never thought to ask why the job paid so much or required so little, did you? I bet you were so happy to be a transplant, you never asked what you were replacing or for how long. It's a wicked thing in a way. New York lets the strongest of its transplants become part of the city. But Chicago, our deal was different. Our ways are different. If you're not from here, you might never understand. And who has the time to teach you? I had hoped you were for me. Someone sent here to free me from my service. But you're just another sacrifice, too strong and too mean to lay down and die properly. With those eyes, you can't be one of the watchers. No worries, there's always work to do. We sleep here sometimes. We even dream. But the city likes it best when we work. It needs workers. It needs their greed and lusts and petty sins. Blood fuels this engine, but sin, oh, the sins make it sing. Make it shine just enough to lure in new fodder, even if it doesn't always take care of them. Migrants who want to really become part of this place, who are really ready to make sacrifices and sell more than their souls can do so much. Pity more of them aren't willing to join in, but then we only keep the strong, like you. You'll be assigned a precinct, serve an alderman who isn't really there. They talk about the dead voting here, but not the things that run for office, that want to work with the real mayor no matter what it might cost someone, no matter what it might cost them. It's okay. They all pay in the end. Everyone's going to have to pay sooner or later. At least you'll have a chance to eat some of the best food in the world. I've grown quite fond of that perk myself. Might even need to get some Chicago mix, now that you and the others have provided fresh ingredients. That's the end of the part I can read, because there's a whole chapter beyond that. So, title suggestions. Come on. Do people.
Hungry City.
Okay. Like that.
Chicago mix. No side.
There's no east side.
The city that works.
That's already a book.
That doesn't matter.
The city takes them first.
I like that with the machine ticks. What'd you say?
The city takes them first.
Ooh.
It's an asshole.
That is all the St. Louis in the world in you. That's all the St. Louis in the world.
I'm going to be like that.
Any rate, thank you. I know it was short, but otherwise it goes into a whole other chapter. And last time I read for too long. So.